Hey everyone, welcome back to today's video. And in today's video, we are going to cover exactly what software that you need to learn if you want to start designing your own products for 3D printing. Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because if you're someone that's selling 3D prints, if you're a designer, if you're a creator, if you're someone that's looking to stop licensing models from other creators, then learning how to design your own products is going to be incredibly important, especially if you want to have products or assets that you can sell without having to rely on someone else and or without having to outsource the work to someone to get it designed for you. And in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of different softwares that I've used, as well as some kind of projects and examples that you can actually create when you actually know how to create your own designs. So with that said, what I'm going to do is open up this quick document, walk you through everything, and let's just jump right into it. Okay, so here I am within my Notion document here, and the first thing we're going to cover here is these three things. First, why you should learn how to create your own models. 2, which software to pick and how to pick the right one. And 3, what is your goal with it? So we're going to cover these three topics and go into detail and exactly what you need to know, as well as show some design examples so that way you get a good idea as to what you need to know when it comes to designing your own products. So the first thing, why should you learn to create your own models? Well, the reason why is because you basically get the ability to create your own designs. Second, you no longer have to license or buy other designs. And then lastly, you have full control and you can sell your products online. You no longer have to subscribe to a licensor. You don't have to outsource to someone on Fiverr or Upwork. And whenever there's an issue with your product, whenever you get stuck, whenever something doesn't come out right the first time, you can always go back within your software, make those changes, then reprint it, and then get a fast working print straight out the gate. And by knowing how to do this, this basically speeds up production, your workflow, and as well as your efficiency, and as well as speed. The whole point of this is just speed. And the ability to take an idea to a final product is just a matter of just how committed you are and how fast you're willing to work to get that final product. And if you're committed, you can pretty much create any product from scratch and then have it listed out that same day and or the next day. So learning how to create your own models is not just another skill to learn, but it gives you the ability and control without having to rely on someone to create the models for you. So for example, if you're selling 3D printed products online and have an idea for a product, then you can use your design skills to sell that product. So for example, here is a product that I had designed and I got a lot of inspiration from Yeti. So Yeti is a kind of a loadout gear brand that sells kind of like toolboxes, and they sell like tumblers and stuff like that. And I actually got or created this design here on the right hand side, and on the left this is their loadout gearbox, and I actually took a lot of inspiration from this toolbox. So what I did to make this design is that I actually went to a sporting goods nearby and I saw that they had those loadout gearboxes, and what I did is that I took photos of it. I actually got my phone, I took photos of the hinges, the clasps, the inner seal and how the lip actually wraps around. It makes it waterproof, and as well as exactly how the organizational system fits on the item itself. So on the Yeti loadout gearbox, there's like a piece or a part that actually sits inside the box. So that way, when you put stuff inside, there's like a level of space that you have at the top. Usually you're able to stack something on top of it, so that way you can fit more stuff into it. So that's kind of like where I got my inspiration from with this toolbox. And just to kind of show you an example, so here on your screen here, you should see the printed design of the toolbox I was referring to. This guy was printed in PLA carbon fiber. The handles were printed in PLA carbon fiber gray, and the top handle here, or the clasp, was in gray, and this one is also in gray. And I also set it up where these can actually stack. So you can see these tiny feet that sit at the very top of the toolbox here, and as well as at the very bottom. And if I were to rotate this all around, you can kind of see the clasps open up, and they also snap in place, so you can kind of hear it. Right, so they clasp or they snap in place, and then when you open up, there's also a seal that kind of wraps all around it, so you can kind of see it. It's kind of hard to see, I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up, but basically it wraps all around it. So when you close this thing, the idea is that water or everyday things would not fall into it, or like liquids. But I think this is just more so for like aesthetically pleasing because of how well it just closes, and it's like seamless, like the line is not even there. But you open this up and you have the whole ecosystem or the system in here. Now, right now, it's just a whole bunch of stuff from my Bamboo printer. And I did have the piece that fits in here, but for whatever reason, I lost it. and I just cannot seem to find it. But you can kind of see all of the work that went into it, because you have to design the case here, then the lid, then the clasp, and then the handle here. So it's a lot of work. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just kind of walk you through what it looks like within Fusion, because within Fusion, I also did or designed most of it here. And as you can see, I started off with kind of like this, I actually started with a smaller one, which was this one here. And I actually started with a much smaller one, and then I converted it into a larger one, which is the one you just saw here. And that's kind of like what I did. And you can see if I turn off the top lid here, let's see what this looks like. There we have the ecosystem here. Additionally, it was supposed to be like a SD card holder, or it was, at least the lid was here. And in addition, the back was also supposed to be used with screws, which you can use with screws, but I actually opted for the one that's screwless, mainly since I didn't want to store screws every single time when I wanted to print this. I wanted this to just snap in, and that was kind of like my general goal. But as you can see, when you know how to design your own products, you get a lot more leverage, and you can create things that you normally couldn't create on your own. And truthfully, you know, these types of designs, I mean, these are things you can put in your portfolio, and other people will see, and they'll kind of look at you as the expert, because you're creating stuff that typically people just couldn't create on their own, right? So that's the whole goal of why you should learn how to create and why it's important. All right, so with all that said, the next thing I want to cover is picking the right software. So everyone's goal is a bit different. In order to know what you want to create, you need to know exactly what kind of styles or things you're into. So if you want to create functional designs like storage crates, planters, coasters, things around the house, or anything that requires like a set of calipers, which is typically functional products or designs, purpose-driven products, then Fusion 360 and Shaper 3D are both great options. This is the software that I used to create this design, which I just showed you within Fusion, and you can also use the free license or the free software to use this as well. And you can also find the hobbyist license for Fusion here. And as well as Shaper 3D. So Shaper 3D is really good if you want to use an iPad and you don't want to stick to using a computer like a Mac or Windows. But if you like to work on a desk like I do, then honestly Fusion 360 is the go-to. But if you like to use a tablet or an iPad, then you can use Shaper 3D. The only thing is that Fusion 360 does have a free hobbyist license, while Shaper 3D does have a free option, but I think it's only limited to like 2 designs, and the features are way more limited. The monthly cost that they charge you is around 35 bucks. So it's up to you whether it's worth spending that much money per month. So the next thing is that if you want to create articulated characters like flexies, fidgets, dragons, cosplay props, helmets, fun, playful items, or even artistic style items, more specifically value-driven products. So not products that solve a specific problem, but products that add value to someone, meaning like it's going to sit on a shelf, it's going to feel a certain way. It's like an emotional product. Like you wouldn't buy like a fidget croc for logical reasons, right? You wouldn't buy like Flexi for logical reasons, right? It's like more so for fun. So if you want to learn how to do that, you can learn Blender or Nomad Sculpt, which are both great options. You can learn Blender here. So I've left the link here for you to download it, and or Nomad Sculpt. Blender is free, but it is more of a learning curve, especially if you're a complete beginner. Nomad Sculpt is paid, and you will be using it exclusively on a tablet, but it's a one-time $20 fee. And what I want to do now is show you the differences between functional products and as well as articulated products. All right, so here on screen, you have a couple of different options. So here on my left, which would probably be your left as well, or your right, these are more so functional products. So like anything like a vase, like a phone holder, a coaster, things like this, you know, anything that has a very specific set dimension. This is more of a functional design and product that you can create with Fusion 360 and Shaper 3D. And these are typically the products that you would make if you need something fixed around a house, and or if you want something with specific dimensions, and or something with kind of like a linear setup, if that makes sense. The next thing we're going to cover here is flexies, which is probably one of the more popular things that you'd find online. So flexies are these little animated or these articulated characters that you would find. They fidget, they print in place, dragons, flexies, articulated characters, book nooks, you know, sculpted items. Nomad Sculpt and Blender would be both great softwares to learn. For example, this was made with Blender. This one here was also made with Blender. in addition to the shark that's listed here, right? So you have like a whole bunch of things that you can do with these softwares. It depends what you're trying to accomplish. Now, I want to be very clear that you can learn how to do something like this within Nomad, Sculpt, and Blender. And while both of them are both great softwares to learn, depending on your preference, it's going to be up to you how you want to make this. Same thing for functional designs. Like if you really like working on a tablet, then just use a tablet and you can get the exact same result. With Fusion 360, it's more of like a computer base. You can get the exact same result, albeit there are different steps per program. And with all that said, I'm going to leave it down based off of preference because truthfully, this is just a preference-based thing anyway. All right, so with all that said, the last thing we need to cover is what is your goal with it? So do you want to create designs and products? Do you want to offer 3D printing services, and or do you want to make money with your skill set, meaning that you want to sell files, Patreons, physical memberships? And the reason why this is important is because if you have a goal for something, then you're much more willing to commit to it. But if you say you just want to design stuff, honestly, that's not much of a commitment because truthfully, you can find a lot of stuff to figure out and print without having to learn how to design. But if you're like saying, well, I'm trying to design a product and then sell it online, well, there's a goal. Like you want to sell something, you want to make money. There's a specific goal that you're headed towards. But if you're just like, oh, I want to learn how to make stuff, it's not really clear. So what kind of stuff do you want to make? Like, what do you want to do with it? Do you plan on selling it? Do you not planning on selling it? And, and truthfully, there's like a path here and it's pretty simple. If, you're interested in 3D printing, it usually leads to you wanting to create and design your own products. If it's just personal projects, then you typically would create hot files for yourself. So it would be like designs that you'd make for yourself, not really for any sort of business related thing, just purely just for fun. But, sometimes a lot of people, when they learn how to create their own designs, they typically want to monetize their skill set. So one way to do this is either by selling STL files, memberships to those files, and or physical products that they can sell online. And these are the couple of different ways that most people get started when it comes to making money with 3D printing. I want to be clear, it's totally up to you how you want to go about it. My point with this video is to show you kind of the different software that you can learn, because truthfully, once you learn the software, everything about 3D printing just becomes 10 times easier. It's like a cheat code. Like once you learn how to model your own designs, it basically gives you the ability to create whatever it is you want. You don't have to buy stuff on Amazon as much anymore. You don't have to go to the Dollar Tree to try to save money or time. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Like truthfully, you can just find it online, and or if you know how to make it, you can make it yourself and print as many as you want for as long as you want. And that's like the cool thing about 3D printing. So with that said, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Really quickly, if you're a complete beginner that wants to learn how to design their own models for 3D printing, I'm hosting a 14-day challenge showing you exactly how to do that, going from a complete beginner to pro. And if you want to join that challenge, we have the 14-day challenge here down below. Or if you're an established business owner who's selling 3D printed products online and looking to grow in scale, I've opened up slots for the Print to Product program. You can go ahead and click that link down below on the right-hand side and or click the image. Either or, if you're a complete beginner, join the 14-day, or if you're already an established seller, check out the Print to Product program and see if it's a good fit for you. But with that said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.